Do you know why I pulled you over this evening? How much have you had to drink tonight?
I'm Andrew Flushy, your Virginia attorney, and I'm going to show you how to answer these questions and more to preserve your rights and protect your freedom. The most likely interaction most of us will have with a police officer is during a routine traffic stop for some kind of minor traffic violation. You need to be prepared to answer the routine questions that the police officer may ask you during that traffic stop. First, let's look at one way of how you should not answer the police questions.
Do you know why I pulled you over this evening?
Yes, sir. I'm speeding.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
3 beers.
Will you please step out of the vehicle to do some quick tests for me and make sure you're okay to drive home?
Sure thing, officer.
While this approach gets you a gold star from Officer Andy for being polite and cooperative, this approach does not preserve your rights or protect your freedom. First of all, you've just admitted to speeding, which is against the law. You've admitted to breaking the law. Additionally, you've consented to do roadside tests that you are not required to do. Those tests are not easy to do well on, and you may be setting yourself up for failure. Let's look at another approach you could take.
Do you know why I pulled you over this evening?
No, sir.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
I invoke my right to remain silent.
Will you please step out of the vehicle to do some quick tests for me and make sure you're okay to drive home?
Now Officer Andy is in a pickle. If he suspects you of DUI, you're refusing to give him any additional evidence by which he can make a decision to arrest you for that DUI. He's going to have to decide, based on the information that he's gathered, whether or not he has probable cause to arrest you for DUI, or whether he's just going to give you a ticket or issue a warning for the original reason that he pulled you over. Let's go ahead and look at another scenario.
Sir, I saw your phone in your hand. You were texting, weren't you?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Wrong answer. Officer Andy likely just saw you holding your phone in your hand while driving, and currently in Virginia, that is not against the law. In order to prove that you were texting and driving in Virginia, Officer Andy has to be able to testify that you were actually reading a text or an email or something like that on your screen, or he has to be able to testify that he saw you inputting letters into your phone. Simply holding a phone in Virginia is not against the law, but you just confessed to texting. The side note here is that on January 1st of 2021, holding a phone while driving in Virginia will be against the law. So you definitely need to get your hands-free setup ready now and get in the habit of using it. We need to stop here and make an important point. You can exercise your rights and remain silent and not consent to tests without being a jerk. It is never going to help you to be a jerk to a police officer. You should be polite, but you don't necessarily have to cooperate and do everything that the police ask you to do. They're trained to do a job, and you also need to be trained to exercise your rights in a polite manner. So how should you respond when an officer asks you to search?
You don't have any guns or drugs in the vehicle, do you?
No, sir.
You don't mind if I take a look around, right?
Go ahead.
False. Officer Andy is trained to lead you down a rabbit trail and then pop his snare once you're in it. Now you've just given him permission to search your vehicle. That's not a good idea, because anything that he finds in that vehicle anywhere, he is likely going to try to pin on you. Are you sure that you know your vehicle's 100% clean? Have you had friends or coworkers in your vehicle lately? Maybe they left something in there that you're not aware of. Maybe there's something that you're not aware of that you left there from a long time ago. It happens routinely, and even if you're sure your vehicle's 100% clean, you don't need to let him search to prove it. Here's what you should do instead.
You don't have any guns or drugs in the vehicle, do you?
I'll remain silent.
You don't mind if I take a look around, right?
Am I free to leave?
Officer Andy only gets to detain you for a very limited purpose and time if he pulls you over for a routine traffic violation. He either needs to issue a ticket or warning for that violation. He can run your license to make sure you don't have any outstanding warrants or anything of that nature, and then he has to let you go. Only if he develops additional reasonable suspicion or probable cause can he then extend the stop and keep you on the side of the road for longer. If you refuse his request to search your vehicle, he may still search your vehicle. You can't necessarily stop the police from searching. However, his search will have to be based on probable cause, which means that if he doesn't have enough actual probable cause to search, and he knows that, he may very well not search your vehicle. Or if he does have probable cause, or he thinks he does, he may still go ahead and search your vehicle, and then you can fight about it later in court. But if you've given him permission to search your vehicle, there's no argument essentially, unless we can prove that your consent was not freely and voluntarily given. Essentially, giving permission to search the vehicle is giving the police a blank check to search no matter what. What should you do if Officer Andy asks you to fess up?
I smell marijuana in the vehicle. I'm going to find it anyway, so you might as well just tell me where it is.
I don't consent to any searches.
Many people fall for that line, thinking that if they're cooperative and admit to the contraband, the officer might just throw it out on the side of the road, give them a verbal warning, and send them on their way. And frankly, sometimes that might happen. I know a lot of officers who are very reasonable and maybe don't want to waste their time with a little bit of marijuana or something like that. However, it's not guaranteed to happen. And if you fess up, if you admit to where the contraband is, you've just admitted to possession. You're admitting that you know what it is, you know where it is, and it's in your vehicle, so you have control over it. A lot of officers, if you admit to where the contraband is, they're simply going to proceed anyway with writing you a charge for whatever violation they suspect, whether it's marijuana, alcohol, tobacco, or something even more serious. They may simply not let that slide, and by telling them where it is, you've just confessed. If instead of telling them where it is, you simply remain silent and refuse any searches, Officer Andy may search anyway, and he may find what you have anyway. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're guilty. He has to prove that you were in possession of whatever he finds. There may be something in your car that you've forgotten about. There may be something in your car you never knew was there that a friend or a coworker left there, or a family member. And Officer Andy will have to prove that you were in possession. Simply owning a car or being in a car where contraband is present does not mean you are in possession of the contraband. Through all this, remember to be polite. You don't have to do everything the police officer asks you to do, but you cannot obstruct justice and actually hinder their ability to do their job. But you also don't have to consent to searches. You don't have to do roadside tests. And finally, don't lie. It's much better to simply remain silent than trying to give the police some kind of line that you think is going to get you out of trouble. Frankly, they're good at their job, they're trained well, and they're probably going to see through your lie, and you're just going to dig yourself a deeper hole. Much better to just remain silent.
Sir, you're a tough customer. I'm just going to release you with a speeding ticket. I hope you have a nice night.
You too, Officer Andy.
If you refuse to answer questions, perform roadside tests, or allow the police to search you, you've done a great job of protecting your freedoms and your rights. To learn even more about protecting yourself, check out how Jim almost got scammed out of thousands of dollars. I'll see you in the next video.